Good morning, everyone. So, in today's class, we will be discussing about the famous Pakistani American writer Zulfikar Kaush and his poem These Landscape, These People. Zulfikar Kaush was a living Pakistani American writer, and he is renowned for his landscape poetry as well as magical realism in his writing. The poetry of Ghosh encompasses imagery and motifs from three continents. They are Asia, Europe, and North America. He has inclination towards Europe, but his poetry picturizes his daily life in South Asia and memories of early life and his family members. Firstly, his landscape poetry with the British descent lines and images of his beloved London. And secondly, it deals with the memories of the past containing the images of South Asia. And eventually, poems with a historical sensibility that grants the poet speaker with a sense of time and historic moment. So it is the diasporic consciousness that is expressed through his writing. The word diaspora has been originated from Greek and which means scattered or separated. And around the mid of 1990s, the word diaspora has been assigned to represent the people who live away from the nation. And in English literature, the terms such as exile, immigration, expatriation, these are used as alternative words of diaspora. And the famous writer Salman Rushdie has prefaced his views on diasporic phenomena as exiles or immigrants or expatriates. They are haunted by some sense of loss, some urge to reclaim, to look back, even at the risk of being mutated into pillars of salt. So, diaspora emphasizes the emotional and psychological state of struggle between two geographical and cultural phenomena. And in addition to the scuffle between regression and progression, dislocation and relocation. As for us, diasporic consciousness is concerned, it is intertwined with a sense of loss, nostalgia, alienation, isolation, shock, and feeling disconnected from the new environment. It is one of the landscape homes of Zulfikar Ghosh, which has England as its one setting and India as the other one. And it explicates and distinguishes void independence that he gets in his romantic age in the alien land and the solace that he experiences in his indigenous country. And this poem has an autobiographical tone in which he realizes his state of exilement and makes distinction between his life in India and England. And it portrays Zulfikar Khash as a teenager of 17 years when he is in the indigenous land and 18 when he is engulfed by a sense of alienation into foreign land, that is England. And the poem juxtaposes the immigrant and indigenous lives of the poets. So it begins by picturizing the exile state of the poet. And he sobs that the expatriation has completely snatched his independence. And he walks among the silver birches of Putney Heath, and it is the eighth spring in England. And he steps over the stones and moves on his way merely to find that everything is strange to him. And even he could not touch anything other than the earth because of his disconnectedness. And he does not wish to be noticed by anyone, and simply he decides to be a fish, making only movements in eyes. Since he has very less attachment with the new continent, he just takes a watch over the native English people and their land. He says that the Englishmen walk with a stiff gait, which presents their rigid and fanciful picture of their habitual life. And he could not find any casual behavior among the Englishmen as he has found among the Indians. And Ghosh leans against a tree to signify his state of loneliness in the foreign country. Even the spring acts as an alien to him, and thus it has caused wrinkles in his skin. And due to his overwhelming vibrant spirit, he is tempted to leave the hedges and duck under the chestnut boughs. He desires to relish the pleasure of being in a new environment, but it is hindered by the formal postures of the native people. And it reveals that he has used nature as a comforter to get rid of the diasporic consciousness by leaping the bushes and ducking under the branches of the tree. And Ghosh exceptionally portrays the bitter, sweet diasporic experience that he has tasted in England. And the poet does few comparisons by making a while of the literary device simile to picturize an absolute sense of loneliness and disconnectedness in the unknown land. He has penned that a new country was like a museum for him. For instance, generally a child in a museum is not allowed to touch anything that he sees because it is exhibited in a glass case. In fact, museum is meant only for exhibition. So the child keenly watches everything that he finds in the museum, which is obviously strange to him. The poet too experiences the same when he observes the country and its people. And he continues to contrast and exploit his sufferings out of alienation by saying that England is an antique chair with a rock across, which signifies that permission is denied to use it. Similarly, Ghosh also could not sit anywhere and therefore he paces. This implies his state of inhibition with mere freedom. And he walks upon town and gets a feeling that as if he is seeing England in a picture, which indicates his little attachment that he has with the land. The poet has employed a remarkable technique of juxtaposing two countries to demonstrate his detachment with the alien land as an Indian expatriate and his attachment with his motherland. He sketches a filmy portrait of the homeland experiences that has relished him. He says that he swam in the beaches of Bombay and pulled coconuts from the tall trees when he was 17. To import the idea of plucking coconuts from the tall trees, Ghosh has utilized hyperbole and utters pull coconuts from the sky. And in his motherland, he has had the freedom to walk with heavy, noisy steps. His indigenous country has never given any inhibition and discomfort to him. Therefore, he swayed in his romantic age with no respect to others. The poet himself honestly confesses his impudent temperament that he had in his teenage. In one perspective, it reveals that the motherland grants all sorts of liberty to a citizen. And in the other perspective, it divulges the foreign land, takes up the primary freedom that one has as a human being. So in the poetic work, Zulfikar Ghosh portrays Indians with respect to a culture and extrovert behavior. And in addition, it reminds the readers that their daily life is a happy struggle for survival. Thus, the poet sketches a vigorous image of the vibrant India villages to differentiate it from the England. So the poem reveals that the attitude of the Indians is completely contradictory to that of the Europeans. He has not only displayed the picture of human beings, but also the images of animals. The stray dogs leaning against the jackals and an image of a cow in the poem provide an explicit description of the harmony that exists between the creatures of the non-human world. And the poet says that the creatures of the non-human world stamp and shout that has changed the calm environment into a vibrant and noisy one. And as he progresses in his description about the people moving from village to another village, he slowly shifts his idea to the town mood. And it is understood that the people march to the town where the poet recite epics and make the people gay. Reciting the epic serves as a feast to the ears and the aesthetic sense of the crowd. Even the recitation and the village episode picturized in the poem differentiate the Indians and the English. The distinction made by Ghosh about his living in India and Europe emphasize the quality of independence that he has experienced in both the countries. In England, he could make only a watch over things, but in the indigenous country, he has pulled coconuts from the tall trees. In addition, he has plucked and tasted the pomegranates, which have turned his tongue purple, and he has chilies to burn his mouth. He has used the word burn to express the spiciness of the chilies, and he has found stones to kick and play with them. Such minor activities have assisted him to be amused and feel the independence of his homeland. The poem also evidences the deep Indian culture interlocked in Ghosh's attitude, even though he is taken to the alien country at his early romantic age. It brings out the fact that living in the motherland for so many years can have very less impact on the behavior of a human being because they do not realize its worthiness to a remarkable level. But being separated from the motherland can cause severe effect and remain a diasporic consciousness. Therefore, he proudly confesses that he was born into this country, and with much impudence, he affirms that everything is his. Through the flowing poetic lines, the poet has registered the phenomena that has amused him and enabled him to experience the liberty in the continent where he has had his first breath. Ghosh has juxtaposed his experience in India as well as in England. Being an inhabitant of both the countries have rendered him memorable scenes and distinguishable differences on the basis of people and their culture that prevails in extremely two dissimilar countries. His explication gives firm images of vibrant India and fancy England, and spending years in the countries have granted unforgettable pictures of independence, loss of liberty, and above all, they have stirred up the diasporic views and thoughts. Initially, the poet feels discomfort of being an Indian expatriate in Europe, but towards the end of the poem, he has penned his intimate rapport with England. He says that he meets England as a secret love and plucks leaves, and eventually he admits that stranger or an inhabitant, that is my home, this landscape, these people. Although he has adapted to the estranged life gracefully in course of time, still he realizes the difference that the countries make and has made in his life. In the beginning days of his excitement, his life had been a miserable, and now the same country has satisfied him with its richness and liberty. However, nostalgic perception is predominant in the poem, and it kindles a diasporic consciousness and the poet undeniably. Thus, juxtaposing the style of the poet has instilled a diasporic and indigenous consciousness to the poem. Thank you.